ECLA, Empire Bay's news home. I'm Gary Stevens. In what sounds like something out of a science fiction novel, a high-tech machine is coming to the U.S. Census Bureau. The first commercial computer has been made, and already it has found a home. The Census Bureau, which tracks statistical information on just about every facet of American life, will receive the high-tech counting machine in 1 year after it has been outfitted for secure and safe transport due to its extremely fragile nature. For Empire Bay's news leader, ECLA, I'm Gary Stevens. ECLA, Empire Bay's news home. I'm Gary Stevens. The television side of this radio station's parent company, Empire Bay Broadcasting Company, has brought the color television revolution to TV screens all across Empire Bay. Isn't that swell? TV viewers with black and white sets will not see any noticeable difference, nor will their pictures be impeded in any way. For Empire Bay's news leader, ECLA, I'm Gary Stevens. ECLA, Empire Bay's news home. I'm Gary Stevens. Parents, you might notice a little spastic gleam in your teenager's eye today. Is it from the extra lead in the water? No. More than likely, it's from the liquid tones. The Empire Bay musical act popular with teens has released a new record album today, and all of Empire Bay's Liquid Tones fans, or Tonesies as they call themselves, were out on a mission to get their hands on it. Yet another reason for parents to be aware of the evils of rock and roll. For Empire Bay's news leader, ECLA, I'm Gary Stevens. ECLA, Empire Bay's news home. I'm Gary Stevens. Wildfires devastate much of the westernmost states today. Residents were forced to flee from their homes earlier today as fires raged across much of the West Coast. The fires started early yesterday and have quickly engulfed thousands of acres of land. Volunteers from across the country have joined the fight against the flames that investigators believe, at least for now, are the result of dry conditions and high winds. For Empire Bay's news leader, ECLA, I'm Gary Stevens. ECLA, Empire Bay's news home. I'm Gary Stevens. Not long after the world of television was painted with a splash of color, Empire Bay residents are finally able to get their hands on a color television set. Ed Whirling's Electrical Appliances is the first retailer in town to have the new color televisions on sale, though sale may be too strong a word, as the new sets are reported to cost over $1,000. Top men in the field of electronics are saying that the pricey color television sets will soon give way to 3D television, and then smell-o-vision. But you'll have to wait at least 5 years for those. Till then, it's rosier on radio. For Empire Bay's news leader, ECLA, I'm Gary Stevens. ECLA, Empire Bay's news home. I'm Gary Stevens. Today marks the official end to the war with Japan. 6 years after the fighting stopped, the San Francisco Peace Treaty officially put an end to the war with Japan and ensured that the island nation would never again pose a threat to the security of other nations. The treaty also allocated money to victims of war crimes at the hands of Japanese military personnel. For Empire Bay's news leader, ECLA, I'm Gary Stevens. Empire Classic Radio. Classic music for a classic... thank you. Oh my. Some disturbing news to report, folks. Police have uncovered evidence of a mass gang slaying at the old Empire Forge in North Millville. No body count as of yet, but police believe that the altercation may have been gang-related. Another tragic example of the wickedness that is consuming our younger generation. Marijuana cigarettes and, no doubt, rock and roll records were also found at the scene. My deepest sympathies go out to the parents of these poor, misguided young men. For Empire Classic Radio, I'm Gary Stevens. We interrupt this segment of Empire Classic Radio to bring you an important news bulletin. A massive explosion has rocked the Empire Arms Hotel in Midtown. The fire and smoke could be seen for blocks around as fire and brimstone rained down from above. Authorities are still not sure what caused the explosion, but they are advising citizens near the Empire Arms Hotel to stay clear until police and fire officials have deemed it safe to return. Again, a massive explosion has occurred at the Empire Arms Hotel in Midtown. Citizens are advised to stay clear of the area. Empire Classic Radio returns you now to our regular programming. I'm Gary Stevens. I'm Gary Stevens on ECLA, Empire Classic Radio, as we play another classic tune that was originally... I've just been handed some breaking news, folks. Hot on the heels of the recent explosion at the Empire Arms Hotel in Midtown, We're now hearing that several vehicles have been seen racing away from the building, engaged in a massive shootout of some sort. Civilian casualties are reported, and police so far have been unable to halt the chaos. I fear for the future of our great city as events like these, where criminal elements run rampant among our streets, become ever more commonplace. For ECLA, I'm Gary Stevens. ECLA, Empire Classic Radio, bringing you breaking news in Greenfield, where the home of one resident is on fire after a shocking arson attack. The bodies of several young men were found at the scene. Residents in the Greenfield area are asked to provide the police with any information they may have. Yet another senseless crime which only serves to erode the moral bedrock of our fine city. For Empire Classic Radio, I'm Gary Stevens, and this is ECLA. Only the classics play on ECLA, Empire Classic Radio. The music... Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting word that a shootout has transpired at the Hill of Terror pub in Kingston. Police are on the scene, but local residents and eyewitnesses are apparently remaining tight-lipped over the events that unfolded at the local Irish pub. The phrase, "as thick as thieves," is brought to mind. We'll keep you informed as more information becomes available. For ECLA, I'm Gary Stevens. Gary Stevens with you on ECLA, Empire Classic Radio. We have some tragic breaking news to bring you, as it appears that several Empire Bay police officers have fallen in Oyster Bay. The tragic shooting has reportedly occurred at the Sea Gift fish packing warehouse. One can only imagine the depravity of the monsters responsible for such a heinous crime. Our thoughts are with the families of those officers at this time. For ECLA, I'm Gary Stevens. ECLA, Empire Classic Radio News. I'm Gary Stevens. What looked to be a tragic tale of the murder of several police officers turns out not to be the case. Initial reports from the scene at the Sea Gift fish packing warehouse in Oyster Bay stated that several police officers had been killed, but in fact the lives that were taken were those of several hardened criminals who were only dressed like police officers. We here at ECLA are immediately relieved that none of our city's finest lost their lives, and that Empire Bay citizens can walk a little bit safer as for once some ne'er-do-wells received their comeuppance. This is ECLA News. I'm Gary Stevens. Empire Classic Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for this interruption. We bring you news of a shooting at a restaurant in Chinatown. Unidentified gunmen burst into the Red Dragon restaurant earlier today, opening fire on staff members. Numerous casualties have been reported. This is the second violent disturbance in Chinatown in recent days, with the shooting at the Sea Gift fish packing warehouse still fresh in the public's mind. More on this story when information breaks. For ECLA, Empire Classic Radio, I'm Gary Stevens. Murder, police chase. Unfortunately, those words, once merely the subject matter of comic books and Saturday matinees, are appearing all too often as daily headlines in our newspapers. I'm Gary Stevens with breaking news on ECLA. Violence once again reared its ugly head today at a construction site in Midtown. Armed thugs were involved in a deadly shootout at the incomplete structure before police arrived on the scene. Police warned that armed criminals may still be at large in areas of Midtown and Oyster Bay, and advise all citizens to remain vigilant until the situation is resolved. For ECLA, I'm Gary Stevens. ECLA, Empire Classic Radio News. I'm Gary Stevens. More tragic news as we report a grisly murder in Lincoln Park. The remains of Mr. Henry Tomasino, reportedly a struggling entrepreneur who made his way here from Sicily as a young boy, were found in the park yesterday in what police spokesmen are describing as the most brutal and gruesome crime to have occurred in the city in decades. The bodies of several young Chinamen, whom police have yet to identify, were also discovered nearby. And so, with this tragedy, we reach a new low in this city's proud history. Empire Bay, you are in my prayers. For ECLA, Empire Classic Radio, I'm Gary Stevens. That's some of the best music ever made on ECLA, Empire Classic Radio. I apologize for the dead air, ladies and gents, but we have an update to the shootout that occurred at the Red Dragon restaurant. Police have apparently discovered a major narcotics operation located in the bowels of the restaurant. All employees who escaped the violence have either been held for questioning or are in custody at this time. Yet another example of the scourge that is doing its damnedest to break down the walls of decency. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry for the blue language, but coarse actions demand a coarse response. For ECLA Empire Classic Radio, I'm Gary Stevens.
Dates and grapes and...
We interrupt the music for some important breaking news. Gang violence has erupted at an uptown parking garage. Police have sealed off the structure for the time being, and an investigation is underway. Sources are saying that the shootout appears to have involved several Orientals. Could this event be linked to the recent violence in Chinatown? If the good Lord is listening, would someone please rise to the aid of our citizens and banish this scum to the prisons where they so deservedly belong? More on this story as we receive the information. For ECLA, I'm Gary Stevens. Now back to the music. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Gary Stevens for ECLA Empire Classic Radio. Social unrest has emerged from the darkest depths and taken the lives of several of Empire Bay's hardworking men. The Southport docks were overtaken by a violent mob as shots rang out, and several young men lost their lives. Longshoremen's Union boss Derek Papalardo, long known for his unsavory labor practices, was among those killed. We'll have more on this story, perhaps at a later time. For ECLA Empire Classic Radio, I'm Gary Stevens. ECLA Empire Classic Radio interrupts this broadcast for some breaking news. More violence in our once fair city of Empire Bay as reputed mob boss Carlo Falcone has been found murdered at the planetarium in Hillwood. The bodies of Mr. Falcone and several of his known associates were found riddled with bullets in what authorities say was a shootout of truly epic proportions. An investigation is underway, but if rumors are to be believed, the list of possible suspects could be as long as the road to hell on which we find ourselves marching. Ladies and gentlemen, for ECLA Empire Classic Radio, this has been Gary Stevens. ECLA Empire Classic Radio brings you the big band sound every day at 10 a.m. with Don Gleason on ECLA Empire Classic Radio. Empire Classic Radio brings you every Thursday night newsman Jim Brittman's Town Hall meeting, Empire Bay's premier news radio program on ECLA Empire Classic Radio. ECLA Empire Classic Radio takes you to the theater every Friday night for the Empire Bay Players presentation of classical theater productions. This week, Les Miserables on ECLA. Join Empire Classic Radio this and every Sunday afternoon for Fight Song Memories. All your favorite wartime music only on Empire Classic Radio, ECLA. Empire Classic Radio brings you a night of formidable classical music with strings up front. 2 hours of classical music from the likes of Beethoven, Strauss, and more. Strings Up Front, this Monday at 4 on ECLA. This is ECLA Empire Classic Radio. This segment brought to you by Holton's Department Store. Everyone knows that Holton's has great prices and the best selection of clothing around. And yes, good people, that's why Holton's is year-round fashion for the American family. Now more from the best selection of music. Only on ECLA Empire Classic Radio. That piece always reminds me of growing up in Southport as a kid. Hello, I'm Gary Stevens on ECLA. The fine folks at Sanford's Department Store want to remind you to stop by and see their new line of imported Italian silk clothing, just in from Milan and ready for the shopper with discerning taste. Sanford's Department Store, proud sponsor of ECLA Empire Classic Radio. This portion of the ECLA broadcast day is brought to you by Montesino Coffee. Hi, I'm Gary Stevens, enjoying a cup of their incredibly rich and bold coffee right now. It's a tasteful accompaniment to the tasteful music we play here at this radio station. Get your percolator brewing some Montesino coffee today while I get set to play you more music on ECLA. ECLA Empire Classic Radio. I'm Gary Stevens, your host here at ECLA. And don't forget that when we're not delivering your news, the Empire Times is, every morning and throughout the day. For the latest news and up-to-the-hour information, pick up a copy of the Empire Times, a proud sponsor of this hour of radio on Empire Classic Radio. If that doesn't take you back, then nothing will. ECLA Empire Classic Radio's Gary Stevens here with something from those three singing sisters in just a second. But you know those sisters are no strangers to the Vangel's clothing and tailoring stores. They've had their experience perusing through Vangel's wide selection of clothing at fair prices. Vangel's Clothing and Tailoring, style that won't break the bank. ECLA, Empire Bay's news leader. I'm Gary Stevens. You might want to think twice about lighting up that cigarette, according to a new scientific study released today. In the report, which is available by order from the Food and Drug Administration, top men in the medical profession conclude that cigarette smoking could pose serious risks to your good health. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, this radio host is making a change to those new filter cigarettes. For Empire Bay's news leader, ECLA, I'm Gary Stevens. ECLA, Empire Bay's news home. I'm Gary Stevens. Fresh on the heels of a study that claimed smoking could have health-related drawbacks, tobacco companies are now extolling the virtues of smoking on a regular basis. Jerry Pendergrast, spokesman for the Big Break Tobacco Company, released a statement that said, quote, "The findings in this study are superficial at best. Big Break Tobacco always puts its consumers first, with rigorous testing and evaluation of our products," end quote. For Empire Bay's news leader, ECLA, I'm Gary Stevens. ECLA, Empire Bay's news home. I'm Gary Stevens. Technology gets even more exciting than the two-slot toaster, with word today of a brand new invention called the videotape recorder machine. It's a device whereby images are captured in a sequence, much like motion picture film, but using magnetic tape instead. Some experts believe that the videotape recording machine will have no significant use in the years to come, but one small Japanese company has reportedly shown great interest. For Empire Bay's news leader, ECLA, I'm Gary Stevens. ECLA, Empire Bay's news home. I'm Gary Stevens. The Home Electrics Corporation claims that the modern home of the future is as little as 10 years away. They've already gotten us closer to that reality by taking us farther away from our television sets with the recent invention of the remote channel changer. The device, which weighs a feathery 5 pounds, allows you to sit as far away as 10 feet from your television set and change the channels without getting up. Home Electric says that soon you'll also be able to control the volume of your television set as well. In the meantime, they're working on a version that isn't tethered by a wire. For Empire Bay's news leader, ECLA, I'm Gary Stevens. ECLA, Empire Bay's news home. I'm Gary Stevens. Financial freedom for Empire Bay residents. That's what Empire Savings and Loan is touting with the new release of what they're calling a credit card. The card allows Empire Bay consumers to purchase a variety of goods and services without cash. The cost of items purchased with the card is then tallied and a bill is sent to the user's home address. As long as the bill is paid promptly and the user does not exceed his spending limit, the card may be used continually. Although there are concerns about consumers exceeding their financial limits, Empire Savings and Loan officials say the cards are a great way for people to get what they want when they want it, with hardly any repercussions down the road. For Empire Bay's news leader, ECLA, I'm Gary Stevens. ECLA, Empire Bay's news leader, I'm Gary Stevens. If you miss Granny's next call, you still might be able to get that rhubarb pie recipe with the help of a new invention called the telephone answering machine. The device, which measures about 3 feet by 3 feet in size, will soon allow you to record messages from friends and family who call when you're not at home, and listen to those messages when you return, provided you aren't there to answer the call yourself, of course. For Empire Bay's news leader, ECLA, I'm Gary Stevens. ECLA, Empire Bay's news leader, I'm Gary Stevens. A recent poll has the latest tally for the upcoming presidential election. General Dwight D. Eisenhower, along with his young protege Richard M. Nixon, is leading Adlai Stevenson by a ratio of almost 2-1. Poll experts believe the lead can be partially attributed to voters who consider Stevenson to be a bit too intellectual for their tastes. For Empire Bay's news leader, ECLA, I'm Gary Stevens. ECLA, Empire Bay's news leader, I'm Gary Stevens. In what can only be described as hits close to home for this father of 2 teenagers, young people are frequently becoming more rebellious. Parents groups and parents in general are finding more and more that their teenagers are acting out and talking back. Such radical behavior is due to what experts believe is an increased exposure to the dangers of rock and roll music. For Empire Bay's news leader, ECLA, I'm Gary Stevens. ECLA, Empire Bay's news leader, I'm Gary Stevens. The power behind the atom bomb, the death knell for many in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, has been tapped by top men in the field of nuclear physics and may one day soon be providing the electricity that powers your home. They say that this new atomic energy will be a safe and inexpensive way to provide electricity for years to come. For Empire Bay's news leader, ECLA, I'm Gary Stevens. ECLA, Empire Bay's news leader, I'm Gary Stevens. Many Empire Bay eateries will soon allow you to eat their food at some place other than their dining areas. Some even allow you to take the food home to enjoy with your family. These meals, called take-home meals, allow you to drive up to a freestanding microphone, place your order, then pull up to a window to pick up your food. A completely American idea sure to encourage a healthy and nutritious lifestyle for those of us on the go. For Empire Bay's news leader, I'm Gary Stevens. ECLA, Empire Bay's news home. I'm Gary Stevens. Just last week, American traders Julius and Ethel Rosenberg were executed for their crimes against the United States. The couple was found guilty of providing thousands of classified documents to the KGB, the Soviet spy agency, over a period of at least 5 years. For Empire Bay's news leader, ECLA, I'm Gary Stevens. Empire Classic Radio. Yesterday's hits just like you remember them. ECLA. Empire Classic Radio Late Night. Classics from dusk till dawn. ECLA. Empire Classic Radio. ECLA. Hits to hear from yesteryear.
Place, park, scene dark, silvery moon is shining through the trees. Cast to me you, sound of kisses floating on the breeze. Act one, be